Another type of example is when we're factoring a trinomial where we do have a number in front of x squared and we cannot factor out that GCF. This makes it a little more complicated, but we are still factoring into two parentheses. And notice that the first times the first must equal a, the number in front of x squared, and the last term times the last term must multiply to equal c. And then for the b term, you would have to check your o and your I terms in the FOIL. That's where you're multiplying your outside terms and then multiply your inside terms and add them together, and that should equal your b term, the number in front of x. Now, the best way to explain this is just by looking at an example. To begin with, we've got 6x squared plus 7x minus 3. This still will factor into two parentheses. And then the method I'm going to show you is the trial and error method. There's also a method called the splitting method, or factoring by grouping. And that is explained in the classroom if this method isn't working for you. And you can see if that splitting method makes more sense. But the trial and error method is you want to pick your different numbers and see which one works. Well, first of all, you know that the first term has to have an x in there. It'll be something x and something x in each term. And we know that the two terms, the two numbers, must multiply to equal 6. So what are your factors of 6? 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Well, most of the time, it's not going to be 1 times that number. It will sometimes, but I usually like to save that for last. So I'm going to try 2x and 3x. Okay, so I've got my first terms in. And now I just have to find my last terms. And I know my last terms need to multiply to equal -3. Well, my only factors of -3 is -1 times 3 or 1 times -3. So I'm just going to pick a pair of numbers, plug it in, and see which one works. So I'm going to try the -1 and the +3 first. Okay. In order to check to see if this is correct, I need to use FOIL to see if I get the same trinomial back. So when I use FOIL, I get 6x squared plus my outside terms is 6x, my inside term is -3x, and my last term is -3. But when I combine like terms, I do not get the 7x for the middle term. I get a 3x instead. So this means that I know this method is incorrect. So now what I have to do is I have to erase my numbers. I'm going to keep my 2 and 3, erase the -1 and 3, and try a different combination. I'm just going to switch places. I'm going to put the +3 in the first parentheses and the -1 in the second parentheses and see what that does to my answer. Okay, so I had a -1 and a +3. So I'm going to switch it and put the +3 in the first parentheses, -1 in the second parentheses, and use FOIL again to see if this gives me the correct answer. The outside term is -2x, inside is a +9x, and the last term is -3. When I combine like terms, I have 6x squared plus 7x minus 3. That is the same trinomial that we started with, so that tells me that 2x plus 3 times 3x minus 1 is my correct answer. Now, if I still didn't get the correct answer when I use FOIL, I would want to go back and use, try -3 and +1 this time. Keep going until you get the correct answer.